What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be having a little sit down talk with Jade Monkey, who was kind enough to lend me his sort of time, and we were basically talking about all things to do with Rust console, from anti-cheat and the cheating problem to the new gen version and basically everything in between. It was really good to kind of butt heads as to where we are with the game, and obviously comparing it to PC, what could come in the future for this game, and should we be excited by the recent news and announcement that we've got. So by all means, sit down, relax, chill out, or if you're driving and you listening, then by all means do that. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave it some support, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.
Well, we might as well, because okay, let me get your thoughts on it, because you played Rust, original Rust, like PC Rust.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, so like, you know about the cheaters. Yeah, bad, like real bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like, I have a hard, I always like ramble about it a lot, and I feel like the audience doesn't really get it, so I'm like, maybe I won't harp on it too long, because I don't think they get it, but it is so incredibly bad on PC. That's one of the major reasons why, like, I love this game, but like the thing that gets you to stop playing on PC is you're like, oh, the hackers took over this month. So once they kind of raid you and you're totally blown out, you're like, I guess we'll, reconvene after.
Yeah, I've come across a couple cheaters on that game. And then everyone likes to like compare stuff on different consoles, because we can't, fortunately, at this moment in time, we don't have that sort of cheating on console. However, it doesn't initially downplay the cheaters we have. It's just different, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So we've had to deal with people that have no recoil, people that are playing on mouse and keyboard. Yes, in comparison with people that could wall glitch and do whatever they want. Of course, when comparing them, it's not bad, but when you're playing the games, you get the similar feeling. It feels like you're being cheated out of the game, and that's really that's
a good way to put
problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to put it, because when you're playing legit and someone else isn't, it doesn't feel great. Yeah, that's one of the major reasons why we moved over, is the cheating was so bad, and we're like, well, if you can pick between two evils, which one would you pick? And that's kind of where we're at. Although, I mean, I got killed by a guy with I don't know if it's Zim or whatever the heck it is, but whatever the mouse and keyboard thing is. I had somebody light me up in Deadside with one of those. I was like, if you played enough PC stuff, you know 100% when someone's clipping you with a mouse and keyboard, you're like, yeah, this guy just hosed me down. And you're like, okay, well, it's here too. I mean, it's in every game on console, you know what I mean?
What Rust did for me is actually open my eyes to how bad cheating is in gaming in general. I used to play Apex Legends. Like, I used to sweat that game out for a number of years, and I would come against people that were truly great. But then when I went to Rust and I found out all this Zim, Cronus, Zen stuff and looked into it extensively, I then saw so many people in Apex having those devices. I was like, shit, this is bad.
Yeah,
this is not just Rust.
Yeah, it's a bigger problem, and I think like, they had a step in the right direction. Sony and Microsoft were like, hey, we're gonna get more aggressive, and then it was like, okay, now what? I don't feel like, if they have been aggressive, it doesn't feel like it.
I don't think they care, personally. I don't. If something was going to happen, I feel like it would have happened by now.
Yeah, and it's like, what are they going to do? Ban all their customers? You know what I mean? Because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah. I mean, even with the next gen announcement, which obviously we'll cover, but briefly, people were saying, "Oh, can we do crossplay?" And I'm like, do you really want to get absolutely battered by mouse and keyboard players on PC that have played it their entire life? No, not me.
Yeah,
I'll say it's a skill issue.
I mean, yeah, there's players that are legit. A lot of players are legit good, but the cheating is so bad here and it's so sophisticated that you don't want that. I mean, look, if crossplay is cool. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Crossplay is cool. I like it. I just need the option in any game to turn it off when it gets really bad, because the cheaters always get really bad at some point, you know, until you can kind of weather the storm until the next wave is like okay enough to play. I mean, to be fair, on PC Rust, they have premium servers now that focus on people that have like real accounts and people that have been there for a while, and and hopefully that money they spend towards it also helps them monitor those servers better, because if you play official Rust PC, you will see things you've never seen before, and you'll go, wow, this is ridiculous. and you're like, is everybody cheating? It feels like it.
Yeah, a lot of it is game breaking. It's funny you say about premium servers. I've been pondering on the idea of actually talking about whether they should come to console or not, and I did a bit of research on it and found that it's favoured that it shouldn't really happen because the cheating is one sort of, if not very hard to detect, and it's not as blatant. And I feel like there'll be a couple false bans. It depends how Double 11 actually ban people, because I don't know fully how they do it, but premium servers for console people have been asking for, and I don't know what your opinion on that would be and if it would work at all.
They would have to. Well, okay. The way kind of Double 11 operates is they're. I feel like they're more or less a contractor of Facebook. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like if you're in a corporate environment and you have contractors. It doesn't matter what side you're on that, whether you are the contractor or dealing with contractors. They always kind of get put in this subset, and they don't always have a say in things, and they have less resources. And I feel like Double 11's kind of in that boat, where
Yeah.
I'm not saying the people there aren't talented and they couldn't get it done, but I feel like they would just kind of allocate resources in such a way where they're like, well, we don't really care about that because we're making money. And it's not a big enough problem for us, so we'll just kind of steam ahead. It's a huge undertaking. If they were to do something like that, they would have to have full-time employees in all time zones monitoring those, like, for real. You can't just, that's a whole nother team,
Yeah, I think with console we're fortunate enough that we can combat it. Combat cheating in a way of playing just the game differently, having game sense, learning how the cheaters operate, sort of thing. Whereas obviously with PC, you don't really get that chance. And when I was making my video yesterday talking about obviously the new gen and this and that, kind of hit me halfway through. I was like, so we're getting quality of life updates, which, let's not downplay it, that could either be small or could be large. I'm not too sure. We've seen large updates for quality of life, and then we've seen small ones scattered over a couple of months, so I don't know what it's going to be like, but I was like, damn, what are we going to be able to cover for this game for the next couple of months if it's just quality of life?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, because I was watching it, I was like, yeah, you definitely have a good point. I don't know. I mean, we'll kind of have to wait and see. It's the way I read that and the way it kind of just came off was, here comes a big drought. Get ready. Yeah. It'll be good at the end, but I'm like, guys, we've already weathered almost half a year of just nothing stupendous, right? No major content pieces. Like, it's been 6 months. Has it been 6? I think it's 6 months.
Well, October, September, I believe, was the shop, the airdrop shop.
That was weak. That honestly, when they dropped that, I was like, hey, okay, it's cool, but only that felt weak.
I think the problem with how it's been, just from a content creator standpoint, and obviously seeing players' opinions on this as well, is before I critique anything with the game, I want to make it clear, and I've made it clear in other videos, I don't tolerate people going and, based off my opinions of my videos, I don't tolerate people going abusing developers if that's the case. I've seen people that have said that. I've seen people say that based off our videos, they go and give hate. I don't tolerate that. And I don't send hate. I speak to whoever I can from Double 11. And I'm very much chill, respectful, and appreciate their time. So my intent is not to give hate, but more to voice that, negative or positive, we have an opinion, and above all, we care about the game, which is why we're so vocal about it. Because I want to see this game do great, and the possibilities with this game are really endless. Seeing how PC have done. Anyways, I've just gone off a train of thought there. Where was I? The drought.
But I mean,
no, it was down to. Sorry, it was down to the fact that we didn't have much communication, and everything dropped off, and there was no word of anything. If we had some, this is what kind of leads me to say that this might have been given to us a bit early, because it would have been nice if they said, we're working on something right now, give us time. Okay, well, at least we know you're doing something.
Yeah,
we'll
instead
give you
of
time.
nothing.
Is what it is. Instead, we got nothing, and then we're being told there's something big that's coming, but you still got to wait after having nothing before that. That's where I was kind of like, this is so bittersweet. I love the fact we're getting this, but
the fact that we're going to have to wait probably 6 months, and we don't know for certain, let me just put that out there, but the way they're talking and setting it up, it feels like it's going to be 3 or 6 months. Again, that's a long shot, but like with the vague information we've gotten from them, feels like they're setting us up for like, hey, hang on. You know what I mean?
This needs to come out before GTA 6. We don't know when GTA 6 is going to come out, but When that
Is it
game
roughly
drops,
October? Isn't it roughly October?
it might well be roughly that time. Let's just say hypothetically it's October. It doesn't matter what game you are playing, whether
Yes.
you're watching Blueprint or if you are Blueprint, you are not going to be playing Rust. You're going to be playing that game for a bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
We all will be stuffing in game hookers and dumpsters because that's
Yeah.
what GTA is, right? Like
Yeah.
in game, of course. But it's like, yeah, everyone's going to be doing the story mode. It doesn't mean that the other games will like fall off the planet. It just means all the player counts are going to be going down because everyone's going to be playing it. It's an event. It always has been.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal because I think this will be 100 times bigger than GTA 5 for one, the release, but the ripple effect is going to have on every other game, you know, especially for games that don't really have a huge player base. When I think of huge, I think of a couple 100,000. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's a couple 100,000 playing Rust console concurrently in today. In
24 hours?
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't really collected any data on that recently. I mean, here's the thing though. Like between PlayStation and Xbox and all the different systems and stuff, there are more units than there are PCs. So that are actively playing Rust. So the question is, how popular is Rust Console Edition right now? Yeah, the console market is massive. Even though I know the PC master race loves to poop on us all the time. If you're talking numbers, it goes, oh, okay, realistically, here are the numbers, right? Mobile, the most. Second, consoles. Third, PC as far as like units. Like, can you play it? You know what I mean? Like, do you have a PC to play it? You know? So, yeah, the numbers are extremely high on PC. It's a still wildly popular game, but I think it's dipped a little bit for us to kind of answer the console population question. But it can easily rebound. I mean, we've seen stuff like that for PC Rust. Like there have been some dips, and then they drop something cool, and then everybody comes back because it's Rust. You know.
Yeah.
So that could definitely be the case for console edition. But kind of knowing after they dropped that thing yesterday, and them saying like, "Hey, probably gonna be a drought here for a minute." I mean, that sucks, because that's what keeps this game fun, right? On PC, it's the constant update.
Yeah. If we had the updates or if PC had the update run like console has, I don't know how. Well, let's think back to where PC was in this sort of state that we're in terms of what content we have. You probably know way better than me. How was it in terms of updates, and how frequently were they updating the game back then, with the state that console's in now? If you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because we've been playing this since it was like originally Rust was like a different game. Then they almost scrapped the entire project, right? And they said, hey, this is cool, but this isn't the direction we want to take. So they branched it, and it was called Rust Experimental. And then that new idea is Rust as we know it today. So Rust Experimental was the branch and the pivot. And so, like, even back then, they were updating every month, like every single month. Even when they're quote unquote taking time off, they still have some banger quality of life update. They're like, hey, we're taking time off. I'm like, doesn't feel like it. I mean, you guys are dropping content already. You know what I mean? So it's been like that pretty consistently, and they've not been afraid to make adjustments to the game. The biggest difference, I think, is, Double 11 is a port studio primarily, or at least in this context it is. So they don't necessarily have the say to do all those things. But yes, they should be keeping up with an update schedule that's monthly. But yeah, I mean, compared to PC, it's always been a constant change, to answer that question.
Yeah. Have you seen the sort of things they've been putting on Twitter? One thing that's probably important to note is that if you own Rust coins or Rust console coins and skins on the current gen version of RCE, you will be able to keep all of these, so you won't have to repay them. Do you think do you think they will make us pay for this new version of the game?
Yeah, based off that Twitter post and knowing how they corporate speak, and I've been pretty right on most of their corporate speak. I think they're kind of fishing to see what they can get away with. But I wonder how much Face Punch is going to let them kind of control that, because I think one of the primary reasons why they didn't communicate with us, or they NDA'd us with a general sweep, was because they didn't really have any say in it, I think. Because think about it, they're the vendor, right? They're the contractor. So Face Punch is like, look, they made the decision to do a next gen console, I'm sure of it. And then they're like, okay, and then they, sold with what was it, Double 11. And when they did, they're like, okay, I think this is possible. They're like, hey, before we do this, don't say anything. So NDA anybody that comes out. And they probably like, oh, well, let me just download an NDA from the internet that's general. And lo and behold, it was too much, so we didn't sign it. And it turns out that we probably probably could have gotten the information directly from Face Punch, and I didn't really put that together because I'd be like, I'd just hit up Erin and be like, hey, what's going on? And then she would have given me an NDA just for the next gen version. I'd be like, okay, I'll sign that. But I'm not going to sign one that's a blanket, like you can clamp me whenever you want to.
The original question about paying for the game. Like,
oh yes. Here's the thing. Face Punch has a say in this, but they do.
Do you think? Sorry for interruption. Do you think because when I saw your video talking about, you feel as if Face Punch have a say in this? I see it just as they've obviously put this graphic out there, and they're just letting everybody know that yes, Double 11 are working on this, but we're also using assets from Face Punch. Do you not think it's just that simple, or do you, like you said in your video, you think there's a lot more to it?
When you say assets, do you mean like models? Do you mean textures? Do you
just
mean
porting
like
stuff generally? Like it's if I'm correct in saying it's Face Punch property that they're bringing to this game, essentially.
I mean, it is all their property. I mean, they still kind of own it. They're just saying you can manage this. As far as I understand the contract, I think that's how it's being executed. So it's in this weird like half and half space. Like the version we have now on the just the core system, it is still like Face Punch's stuff. Like they have to port it. Now, they step a lot of things down because lower systems can't handle it, but essentially all those assets are still Face Punch's assets. So, do I think it'll look more like PC? Yeah, 100%.
I can't wait for it. Honestly, the graphics is going to be something I'm going to look forward to playing on, and it would just be a completely new experience that I'm so excited for. I'm just hoping it's not a long way away. I hope. Yeah. I don't know how hard it would be to really do what they're about to do, or do what they've been doing. I mean, I've asked around, like, how long has this been in the pipeline for? Because if this is a long task that they're doing, they haven't been doing it for long. It's only been 3-4 months, maybe.
I think you can almost tell the exact moment when it happened, because everything shifted. They were like gung-ho. I don't know if it was August or September of last year, 2024. We'll future-proof it, right? Don't know when people watch this. They were like, okay, we have momentum. It's going to be this. We're shifting to monthly updates. I was like, beautiful, good. That's kind of what we were missing. Those long periods of 3 months in between, it was kind of rough. And then they had like an outline, and it seems like the roadmap, and then it seemed to kind of peter out towards the end. I was like, okay, we'll give you that. But then they just went dark. They didn't say anything. We are on month 3 now, and we've got quality of life updates, and they've just now said something. Something shifted, and maybe Face Punch was cooking in the background for a while, because ultimately it's their decision to say, are we going to drop support for old systems or freeze them? Okay, let's just say freeze them, because that's more accurate. And still keep it update, but we're not going to content update it. I think that shifted, and it shows because they were talking to us, they had momentum, they had a roadmap, and it petered out, and then they went silent. And they are that pattern sticks. Whenever there's a shift behind the scenes, whether Face Punch is calling it Double 11 or both of them, they just go really quiet. Like electricity was the same thing. They came in very aggressive, and then they were probably like, "Whoa, that's too much. The old systems can't handle that." And we didn't get electricity for a long time. They were gonna drop it like month 1 or 2 after it was released. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
And they didn't talk about it.
No, it seemed as if they made all these updates that they had in the roadmap, and then I'd like to think they'd realised maybe beforehand, probably. They were like, we want to bring this to the game. Let's say hypothetically, it's cars. We want to bring this to the game. We just can't. So what are we going to do? Well, we've got to do this. And I've come to think of it. I'm just like, yeah, we made all these predictions, but how the hell did we not think New Gen was not going to be the update? Because nothing else could have come.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, yes, I was asking myself the same thing. I was like, oh, I mean, we considered it, but I kind of discarded it because I'm like, Double 11.
Such a long shot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they don't have the resources to do it, because here's what happens. When you do an extra version like that, you're splitting the code base, which means you're doubling your work. And already they have a hard time delivering every 3 months. No offense, but it's just how it's been the last 4 years. You know what I mean? Realistically, like, we've been here since the beginning. So, and now they're going to double it. So that's why I always kind of discarded it. And I always said, look, if they do it, I think it's going to come from Face Punch. And I don't see them just abandoning that player base. But the way they're doing it now does make sense. They're going to still support it. They're just not going to update it with new content, which is a little bit tricky. But you're right. They probably Double 11 had a stack of things saying, look, we can do these things, or we can do these things limited. And Face Punch has to either say yay or nay, because they need to maintain a certain amount of consistency with the game. Obviously, they can't just be adding new stuff that's not on PC necessarily. It still has to be Rust. So I think they were involved in that process, sure. And I think they had a big stack. To what you were saying, I think they had some stuff. They're like, hey, look, these things are possible, but it has to be in a limited capacity. We've already kind of seen the outer extents of like the older systems. Like they're very scared to go anywhere active on a 4K server with the old systems. I think it gets very unstable. I mean, shoot, look at our G Portal servers. As soon as those are running consistent, I wipe mine every week, and it's like that gets so unstable, and I'm like, why? It shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Obi brought his back, and I think I saw in his Discord where someone was like, why is it like 80 pop? And he said, if you put it to 100, it's going to lag.
Yeah.
So
I'm running into that right now.
Yeah, it's been. I've had experience with it as well. It's absolute hell. But obviously with the next gen, hopefully that isn't so much an issue. My only question is, like I said in my video again, that I feel as if it only felt like 6 months ago that we sort of heard something from Double 11 or someone saying that they're still optimizing for old gen because it's still a large portion of their community. And then what, in 6 months you've just woken up and thought, oh, we need to actually go to next gen.
Well,
I don't understand why.
That goes to tell you who's really running the show. They're the contractor, and then when daddy comes in and says, hey, you gotta wrap it up, you know what I mean, then you gotta wrap it up. Well, here's the thing, they're not gonna abandon it, but you're right, it's one of those things where they're like, look, we're gonna support it, but we're not gonna keep adding content because it makes it more and more unstable. So they'll still service it because obviously the game's sold for people on Xbox. They can't just abandon them, but they will abandon the updates for them because they just can't support it any longer. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, what a big shift, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I get shown so many Discord messages of people saying you're right or you're wrong and this and that, don't watch them. And I've seen so many comments of people saying to anyone that says old gen shouldn't be still optimized, and you get comments like, you don't know what you're talking about, like just stop talking, which may well be the case. But the fact people are saying that sort of stuff, and then suddenly we get this, are we just going to breeze over the fact that that so many people were asking for this and still they were sort of shut down? I'm talking directly about the Discord because there's so many questions.
Are you talking about the mods, or are you talking about just the discourse happening?
I think in general. In general, it can get very toxic. But
I was gonna say the mods don't really count because technically they're just random internet clowns that are working for free. Real talk. And I think Double 11 gets free work out of them, and I think they're kind of reluctant to pull them or. You know what I mean? Because normally it's run by an employee, but I think it kind of is just free reign there. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy toxic. If anybody's been in their quote unquote official Discord, yes, it's their official Discord, but it's run by just random people. They don't even work for Double 11. They don't get paid. So yeah, it gets a little wild in there for sure, and they don't really pull reign on it either. So you can't really trust a lot of information unless it has Double 11 in their name, straight up.
Oh no, of course, yeah. And again, that was probably something I posted saying, like, I'm going to rethink how I want to structure and message my content when I do this. Of course, I want the thumbnail to be popping. I want the title to be attention grabbing and for people to watch the video. But I don't want to come across like how people have saying I'm coming across saying I've got helis in the title, and people think, oh, helis are coming to the game, and where it may not be the case. So I understand people's frustration in that sense. But I'm hoping that with the updates going forward, pretty much we can't really say helis are going to come to the game or cars. Like, everything can now come to the game theoretically.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's no real prediction anymore because we know everything is possible with this update.
Well, and here's something else really interesting is, and it also shows the shift that you were talking about too, because was it 3 years ago or 2 years ago, that survey they put out, because it was essentially the management trying to gauge, like, look, what's going to make people the most happy and keep the population up so we can sell skins, because that's how they continue to exist. That's how they have to look at it. It's a business at the end of the day. And that's how they make their money, because they are paying a lot to Sony, Microsoft, and mostly Facepunch. So, they're taking these surveys, and one of those, two of the things that are on there, very clear as day, and I remember I took a screenshot because I was like, okay, so it's back on the table. It was after that terrain update. It was cars and Mini. And again, I think they were edging towards that, but then they're like, look, we got to shift now. So they're like, okay, now everything is like focused on the transition. And now you're right. It's going to be, we're going to get those things. It's just a matter of when. And hopefully they go to a very aggressive monthly update when that does occur, because then we can start to get the big stuff, because the next gen consoles can handle it. I know we're saying next gen, but really they're
current gen.
They're current
been out
gen,
for about 5 years.
Right, yeah, no kidding. But I mean, I know COVID kind of killed it too. But I think the
Yeah,
adoption
no,
rate was really messed up. I think they predicted the adoption rate to be much higher, but nobody predicted COVID. So I think they were kind of stuck in limbo for a long time. Maybe this is the plan to transition all along. But because the adoption rate on the next gen consoles is not as high as it should be because obviously COVID. But yeah, so I think it really put a wrench in the works for everything, even including now.
isn't it crazy that I've seen the thing you're on about that survey, how far back that was, and they were talking about
Yep.
cars and helis that far back.
Yeah.
And we're just like, even now we're like, oh, it seems like it's impossible.
The fact that we don't have them is so infuriating. Like if you played any kind of PC Rust or watched it, you're like, dude, this is such a core part of the game. I feel like a broken record. I say it all the time, but it's true. What even people are like, I don't want helis. I'm like, trust me, when you get them, you'll go, okay, I get it. You know?
Yeah, I think as well, from just a business standpoint, they can't bring everything. They can't bring everything out rapidly because, if you bring stuff out every 2 months, let's say, you can design some skins, you can build hype. 2 months is a very good time to create hype for an update. And it feels as if that's sort of how it's been like. They've had to stop the trajectory of what they wanted to do with maybe cars or helis, and they've gone with lesser updates. I'm not trying to discredit Oil Rig and all of that, because that's such a good update and it was so fun. Some of the best moments I've had in this game. But obviously as a business, they've tried to keep things longed out a little bit, obviously for testing, but to try and be like, kind of bring you in, and then you played it, you sort of get bored, bring you in again, and then the cycle just continues almost.
Well, one of the problems was, and you heard me, I love this game. I always have like a positive spin on things because that's just kind of how I exist. But I can't ignore some of the more blatant things like we had to point them out because I think their approach with like the management was not the best. Where they're like, hey, and I get it. I'm not saying it's bad. They're trying to make money. They have to exist. They have to pay for the new development. But one of the things I think that survey was both good and bad because it was a perception thing and it was only people that participated. So a good example. So what am I rambling on about? So the military tunnels, great update, cool, but if we only have 4 slots a year, technically 3 because we have that quality of life update, I'd rather my 1 slot that year be put towards something that's going to affect you all the time. Military tunnels is cool, but when's the last time you've been? Right? Exactly. So like everybody voted for it, but then after the month it was out, nobody plays it. Right?
Yeah.
It's cool to have the option. But if you only have 3 options a year, or 4 let's just give them the 4 options a year, I would pick something else other than military tunnels. But because that was like a popularity survey for the people that participated, management thought like, hey, that's what people want. But nobody goes. Every time I go on a wipe, I don't think I see anybody there. You see what I mean?
I think Rust is played in a very weird way. Obviously, everyone's adjusted and got used to it and had found the metas. But when I first started playing console Rust, it was very much more, let's get a base down and let's survive at all costs. Let's run that monument. Let's try and find some people so we can get kits. And correct me if I'm wrong, it just something happened, and I guess it's the player base itself, where the game isn't like that. And I understand people evolved and they found the best ways to do stuff, but I loved how Rust felt between 2021 and the back end, or going into 2023. I felt Rust was played really well, especially on vanillas. And then when communities hit, and I was a huge advocate for them, it felt as if there was a huge shift in how people played and what people wanted out of the game. Very much like, it just felt like a TikTok game where you'd be given an AK from an admin. I'd done it myself. I gave people AKs and people would go in PvP, and that's the ripple effect it's had on Rust. I don't know if it is for your server. It just feels like it's been played differently nowadays.
Yeah, there's just because people are asking for it doesn't mean it's going to be the best. It's always like you got to protect, like what kind of experience do you want to give people on the server, and protect it and make sure it's consistent. And from cheaters to admin abusers, like you got to keep a very consistent experience. Like honestly, my most popular server is a 2x. I think 2x is too high. To be perfectly honest, I turn off my sulfur core because I feel like it's too fast. Like yeah, it's fun to get this stuff quickly, but like the thing with Rust is we're gonna get deep here. The thing with Rust is it's about progression during the wipe, and if you take progression and you rush it, then what do they have to stick around for?
Yeah, exactly.
And raiding sulfur is endgame. So if you're giving it to everybody so quick, yeah, it's fun, but no one's going to stick around after day 2.
That's why everyone went to weeklies and bi-weeklies. I mean, when I first started doing my community server, I was like, yeah, let's get everyone back, and we'll have this 2-time server where people just play it, and that'll be that. Boy, I was a huge ride of like the amount of commitment that you have to put into a server, and the amount of people you deal with in tickets, and the amount of issues that come along with it.
G portal and internal, like on the server itself.
It's just unbelievable. I remember specifically, I was like, right, boys, we've got the team here. We're going to do this. We're going to make the server. We're going to crush it. We were all there waiting. And it took 8 hours from them announcing that we can buy servers on G Portal. It took 8 hours for you to then actually get onto your server. And it really killed the feeling and motivation and the hype, because you had to wait 8 hours. And again, this goes back to Rust Console has an incredibly dedicated community that I don't think they take advantage of enough. I don't know what your opinion is with how Double 11 have acted with content creators. I don't personally think they've utilised them the best that they can, or reached out maybe the best that they can. The only person that's sort of reached out to me is Pedro, and that's been about it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
It's about the same. I think he works hard, but I think he also manages other titles. So, and I've in my professional career, I've managed community managers and stuff. So, social media, what do they call it? Social media, community managers. So like I get it. He's busy. We don't always see all that stuff. So I don't think he necessarily has the bandwidth to do it. Again, as a player, we're like, yeah, we don't care. We want more interactivity. So I understand that. And yes, I think the creators are underutilized. But again, when your boss tells you, hey, you got to be out of town this week to do A, B, and C, you go do that. You know what I'm saying? And it may not be the thing that we want.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a great answer, but I mean, that's what's happening.
Do you think they will communicate more with the community? I mean, I said in my video that they have to. Otherwise, I don't know how long people are going to wait out for. There's so many people I know that have gone to PC already, and they're like, it's too late, I've gone to PC. So do you think they will communicate a lot more than they have been?
I hope that they do. And this is going to sound awfully pessimistic, but if we were to if history is anything to set up the precedent here, the pattern, they might do it a little bit when it ramps in, but it'll probably be a lot of the same until something shifts. Now, Rustzilla seems to be the guy that's doing the social media, or I'm sorry, the community stuff for Rust now, which I don't have a lot of interaction with that person, so I don't know anything other than like probably what you guys have seen. We don't really get a lot of special treatment in that department, so I don't know. I hope that it changes. Yes, I'm optimistic, but I'm setting my expectation very low because it hasn't been great. There's been a lot of like hollow promises or this, that, or the other thing, and the delivery's been pretty weak. I'm not trying to bash on anybody or be super negative, but I mean that's the long and the short of it. Like me and the boys have talked about this plenty of times. We're like, like Bio and Razor Tube and stuff, and it's like, we kind of did a rundown, and we're like, hey, yeah, it's probably gonna be more of what we're used to. So we kind of just do our thing, and if they want to add in, great, but. Us getting the NDA stuff wasn't exactly great. I get why they did it now. I think they were forced to, but they should have at least read over the NDA stuff before they sent it out. I'd be like, guys, this is way too general. But
yeah, no, I was surprised when I got that message. I've come across people that say we're lying about it, but
I think that's funny. Yeah, let me guess. Let me guess who's saying that.
What benefit do I get from lying about that?
Right, and it's like, look, here's the thing. Yeah, somebody's saying that in one of my chats or whatever, and I thought it was funny. I was like, I think we know where the noise is coming from, and it's like, look, we don't have to prove that. If it comes down to it, if there's some situation where we have to, sure, we have the communications to prove it. We even have the printed document that came from Double 11. So if it's really an issue, we can deliver receipts, no problem. But I don't think we have to go to that extent because somebody's can't
No,
comprehend
no,
reality. You know what
of
I'm saying?
course not.
Like
It's always
very
best to
real.
not.
It's very real.
Yeah, it's always best not to focus on the negative side
Right.
of things. But ultimately, I don't know what your end game is for this game as a content creator, but mine, I would love to be in the position of where Shadowfrax is. It seems as if I don't watch him enough to know or know him as a person, but it seems as if he may be getting a bit of special treatment where he plays or knows more about the game before anyone else does and just covers it, makes a video, bashes that out, and is very clear, concise. That's how I would like to be in the future, and I'm guessing me getting banned is a real, and I absolutely regret the fact that's happened, but that's probably a huge hindrance on my behalf for me to get that opportunity, or for me to get, let's say, a content creator skin, for example.
I don't think I get what you're saying. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. I mean, yeah, whatever. Like the Discord thing is what it is. We've already talked about that, but I don't think that's why you're getting the treatment you are. That's just how everybody gets treated. That makes you feel any better. And to what you're saying, like other creators in other games, whether you're talking about PC Rust or Dead Side or Space Engineers 2 or Space Engineers or even like a plethora of other games I can't think of, typically the relationship is like that, more Shadowfrax, where you get the inside track, or I should say like DayZ, like we got like a creator thing where we were able to get on the server well before Sakal came out. Like that's very common. And I think Double 11 doesn't necessarily allocate enough resources for that to happen, because I feel like Pedro's pretty spread out as far as his time and resources. So yeah, it would be nice if we're in a position to do that. And yeah, does Rust do that with their creators? Yes. Do they have a creator program? Yeah. But so do a lot of other game companies, you know? So that's kind of, I think that goes back to, and again, I'm not trying to be negative, but this is the reality of the situation. It's the difference between it being the studio who created the IP and somebody who's servicing that. So like a contractor or a subset. Not to say that the people aren't talented and they're not doing hard work. They are. Because let's be real. Honestly, the fact that they got Unity to run Rust on the old systems is crazy. Like, they've squeezed out performance that I don't think Facepunch has been able to do for the PC, which is crazy. So, like, they got talented people there, yes, but I don't think they're in a position to make those decisions or necessarily have those resources to do that. So, yeah, it kind of sucks we don't get those... those early access things, or hopefully we get some kind of creator skin thing, and I don't think you would be pushed out of that, honestly, in my opinion. I just think, how do I put this? Me and the boys have talked about this a lot. We're like, wow, and again, I don't want to be negative, but we're like, we really don't get this level of quiet or no support from any other games. You know what I mean? I don't think it's from a lack of trying. I just think, however this is all structured and set up, is not beneficial for us in the long term. And I don't think anybody's doing it on purpose. I just think they're trying to exist. Yeah, they're just trying to exist and make money because they have to make money off of skins. They're porting the game that somebody else made, and so everyone's got their hand in the pie. So like they have to do, there's certain things they have to focus on, and this isn't one of those priorities, sadly. Hopefully that changes. I think they could, yeah, sure, but I don't know. I don't know how long Double 11's been around, but it seems like they have enough experience to kind of like ramp it up. But anyways, I digress. I ramble.
That's content creator for you. Like, we're so used to talking to a screen, we just have so many filler things that we just off the cusp we talk about, and then you find out, I've been talking for about 10 minutes straight. Shit.
Yeah. Oops. What was the question?
What was the question? I think the question was, where'd you see yourself in terms of end game for this game as a content creator? You're going to keep on doing what you're doing? Do you feel as if this will be like... I feel like Rust console is on the cusp of exploding because of how good Rust PC is and the dedicated community that Rust has in general. The only thing that sprung to mind today, I was like, I keep forgetting GTA 6 that's coming out and everyone's going to play that game. So... they need to sort of hurry this up, whatever they're doing. Unfortunately, it should have been done earlier. We had been saying for a year or two now, even more, this should have been done. Because when I played this game, I was on old gen, and I started playing it, and I stopped playing it for a bit because I was like, the FPS is shit. I can't play this game. I'm just gonna go back on FIFA or Call of Duty. Then I got a new gen console. I was like, wow.
It's not even optimized fully yet for the.
No.
Yeah. That's just the raw horsepower taking over a very crappy engine that is Unity. Yeah, so like they'll squeeze out so much more, but yeah, what a difference.
I can only imagine like the developers are probably like, oh my god, there's so much I want to do, but we can't because we're limited to the hardware. And it must be sort of frustrating as well because they obviously can't really say much. And they're watching people like us saying, you need to do better, you need to do better. And it makes me laugh when, we've had a drought when there's so much hype surrounding just a map that's a donut. Like,
You're right about
everyone
that,
was hyped for that.
You're right.
And I was like, oh, cool, we could have there could be a roadmap within this.
Oh, 100%.
And then obviously, yeah, there's hints. There's definitely there's new terrain, and obviously, like you said, with the trains or the cars just outside. Yeah. I was even looking for the helipads.
Check this out. Can you? Sorry, I sorry to kill your momentum, but as you're saying it, let me show you what I'm talking about. Can you see that?
Let me go here.
It's on Discord.
I can't.
Discord's kind of goofy. You may have to click on my name to maybe see it. It says I'm streaming it. Are you running it through?
There we go.
Yeah, it's like a video stream. You see me moving around?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Okay, these are new, and this is very much on that map. See how these like erosion trails?
Exactly.
We don't have these prefabs. Let me get up under this. We don't have these shapes yet, but they're using the old shapes with these. So the map generation is this, but it's just less these prefab texture terrains. And so like, make no mistake, Donut Map is cute, but it is a testing ground for what's coming. Not only for the next gen stuff, but it's definitely has the train system stuff built into it. I think it's going to go underground first, but hey, since we know it's next gen, it's probably going to be all of it because the train system came in two parts. It was underground, then it was above ground. But like, to kind of go back to what I was saying again, yes, that Donut Map has hints and traces of this.
It's got that exact hill that you're looking at now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you notice we don't have all of those, like, because each one of these are, I forget what they're called officially in the asset pack or whatever, but these are basically prefab terrain things, and they're randomly kind of rolled, spun, and then like collectively put around the edge of the terrain itself. And so like we have some of these, but we don't have all of them. And so like it looks like this, but it doesn't look like this. But look here, actually, I can do this. This will probably help a lot more. If I kill everything but the terrain, this will make a lot more sense.
Just quickly button in. Do you reckon they'll have graphical sliders?
They might, because you know, if you look at the raw horsepower of the PS5 and the series and stuff, they're face melters. They can handle this, even though Unity's dog water when it comes to performance.
Yeah.
I took everything away but the train. You see what I'm talking about?
Got you.
Doesn't this look
that's
very...
like the X10.
Doesn't that look, I don't know, like our donut map kind of? It is. And that's why I was like, look, something big is coming. I can't believe I didn't put together that it was next gen stuff, but maybe because I didn't see any movement from Face Punch, but then again, I wasn't really looking.
Well, you're sort of like, it just feels like it's such a reach. It's like such a cope thing to say we just need next gen, because as we've said multiple times, Double 11 have always said that we have plenty of people from old gen playing the game that are still playing, and we want to cater towards them. So we're like, okay, fair enough. And out of nowhere, oh, by the way, we're getting a next gen version. Like, what?
Yeah, well, that's because Daddy's home. Oh crap, Dad's home. Like, that's what that was. Daddy came home, which is Face Punch, and said, look, we're looking at the numbers, and we know you guys are restricted with this. We have to do that because maybe they know like what the schedule is for them to sunset the old systems. I don't know. I'm sure some of the studios have some of that information. You know, because let's be honest, they're going to set those to rest at some point. Right? I mean, how long have they been out? Long time. By the way, look at this. Look at this. I know you probably saw this in the video or whatever, but if we just take off, is it construction? I'm just taking off to the terrain.
It's crazy the amount of tools you have on PC. I haven't really extensively looked into it.
We
That's
have
mental.
these as commands. All of these. These are just menus for them. Like everything we have. But here's the thing. Because it makes the game unstable, they blocked a lot of the commands. I tried as soon as we had access to custom servers, because we've been playing with this for so long, like,
Yeah.
and we've gotten into the engine and stuff and done all kinds of things, and like made like assets and stuff. So like I'm very familiar with it. So the first thing we did was hook up a keyboard. I was like, I tried every command, and I'm like, dude, they blocked everything, right? Because we could technically get to these, but they block things like spawning. Like here you go, I'll spawn well, actually, let me show you this. This is the terrain cut that goes underground to the tunnels.
Got you.
And this texture map here is exactly where this building sits, which is your tunnel system that goes underground for the trains.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we even have the gravel for this road. See how this is different from our entrance? This came in for one of the road updates for cars. Cars came first, then it was a road update. Then we had underground tunnels, which included this, and now we have surface trains. So like that was the order we got it here. So like we have all of this. We have this here, even though these aren't technically in yet. But like the gravel for this road exists in front of our donut map right now, and so does this. But it's just the structures are gone. So they basically turned them off. And I was like, I know what that is. As soon as I saw that, I was like, dude, I know what they did. They're bringing it in. Like you don't bring those assets in. They had to turn them off because they're not active. But you know what I mean? Because like you got to hook all this stuff up. There's an elevator inside of this thing. This thing cuts the terrain. You saw that. This thing changes like the environment lighting as you go down. This hooks into the underground system. You can see it because we're on the opposite side of the normals right now. But like, can you see that? There you go. It popped out. You see that?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here, let me get inside of it.
Wait. Oh, okay. So it's round. Like if you follow it, it's almost as if it's a donut in itself, just going round.
Here's what it looks
Hold
like.
on,
I got
wait
you. I got you. Let me get away from these. There you go. This is what it looks like. It connects all of the. Oh my goodness! I'm in every.
If you go outside of the tunnel, if you like pop out of it, wait, go back down, and like where.
It's weird because
see-
the viz is gonna pop in and out. Let me see if I can get it away where you
Yeah,
can
that's
see
it.
it.
So
There you go.
it goes all the way around. It's almost
Yeah.
as if it's. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, because we're on the opposite side of the normals, which is not the way normal represents like a surface texture. A normal is the way we see it in game. If you go to the opposite side of the normal, you can see into the textures. So the reason why you have normals is because it stops the viz from going out, and then it makes sure that other things don't like render. So it kind of helps with performance because it only renders things you're looking at and things to your immediate left and right that you can't see. So like when you turn fast, it's available and it's like shows up. But if you actually, if we turn off the viz or whatever and you turn away from where you're looking, other things don't render, and that helps with performance. And actually, like when we go inside of this tunnel, stuff on the surface doesn't render anymore. But when we're out here, past the normals, everything does render.
Yeah.
So like that was another reason why I was like, look, they'll bring tunnels in even on old gen because literally you're not rendering the top end of the map. It's actually way less to run it down here, believe it or not, because you don't actually see all these other things.
What size map is that?
This is 4.25. This is the default size for PC, and it has been for
Wow.
4.5 years.
How big do you reckon Rust console will be then? Let's say this drops in the start of summer, hypothetically. If this drops the new gen version, how big do you see the game getting? Do you see it an exponential rise and influx of players, or do you think it will take a while still, just because of the bumpy ride consoles had already?
It'll always be popular. I think it's a matter of. You can already see how big this is. Our viz range is huge out here. You can start to see it fall out back there. It's huge. It's big. It may take a dip, but it'll still be big compared to anything else. And I think it'll skyrocket once it kind of hits its stride. Now, it may take some dents and stuff. Like, as you were saying, if they somehow release the big broad stroke, let's say they up the server pop and we have next gen version, and it's on GTA, it's like, look, it'll look like it's taking a dip, but that's only because GTA is soaking all the player bases of every other game. So it'll be kind of a hard metric. Like you kind of have to see where the player base is, but it'll still be popular considering that GTA's out. You know what I mean? Or let's say down the road, like people will come back to this. Basically, is what I'm saying. Like Rust PC has had same ups and downs, not quite this bumpy, but people always come back to it because Rust is so good, and there's so much cool content coming.
The problem with that is Rust isn't a game you can like just pick up and play for about 10 minutes and get your fix and then go off. Rust is a game you have to put a lot of time in. So if you're playing a game like GTA, you come back to Rust, you got to play the game for a lot of hours, and then you're like, I'm gonna go back and play GTA. You just don't have the time. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the problem I see this game having.
I mean, that's any survival game really. Like, it's not meant to be like a quick pickup. I mean, this game is very like, the experience is built around you get in, you get invested in something, you want to protect it, and then you go down the course to protect it and then progress. And the game is really good at pulling you in. Like, there's been times where we're scouting a server and then I'm like, well, I just picked up the bean can, I might as well go learn that. And next thing you know, you're playing the wipe.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always kind of like that. It'll draw you in. It's really, really good at that. No matter how much this game changes, it's always been good at that.